Wow. Just wow. I have just watched the trailer for. Sorry, just had to check my headphones were working and my microphone was working. I have just watched the trailer for Legends of Tomorrow, and it looks absolutely epic. I mean, the concept of a team up with these particular characters, it's just inspired. I mean, you've got characters who have always been viewed as villains, working in this team with heroes. Um, it's, I don't know. It looks fantastic. The action looks fantastic. The effects look fantastic. The scene with the Atom shrinking and flying. We're finally seeing Ray Palmer as the Atom shrinking. That is something that I've been looking forward to seeing for ages. Personally, I hoped we'd see it much earlier, but it does make sense that it would take a long time to developing the technology. But it looks fantastic. I suppose there's going to be an interesting idea of who can they really trust on the team, and I love the whole time travel element because it's going to give them lots of fantastic new settings, potentially very interesting villains from all different times in comic book continuity. Like you'd have characters who've appeared in comic books, but they've only appeared in sort of books set in the future or in the past. So because they've been set at different points, they haven't been able to enter the mainstream continuity. A fantastical example of that, who appeared very recently, is the Wandering Jester, who is the creepiest villain I've ever seen. I mean, sure, he's exceptionally unlikely to show up. But if we look at, say, villains from, what's the name of that version of the Justice League from the distant future that has Brainiac 5 in it? Whatever, some of their villains might appear in it. Certainly, the concept of Vandal Savage being a villain, I have been dying to see Vandal Savage in live action. I cannot wait till they announce who's playing him, because Vandal Savage is one of my absolute all-time favourite villains. He's an immortal ancient caveman who's tried to take over the world on numerous occasions and had lots of other views. I mean, he was kind of the leader of the light in Young Justice, and he made a deal with Darkseid, and he had the concept, I think it was that only the strong should survive to inherit the world. He's an absolutely fantastic character, and I'm staggered he hasn't appeared in live action until now, and I love that they're going to be going up against his organisation throughout history, using time travel and throughout the future. That is a fantastic idea, and it also gives the interesting dilemma of how do you stop someone you can't kill, which I'm sure is going to come into it. And in terms of cast, we've got a woman whose name I cannot remember. I think it's whatever. But we've got Hawkgirl's going to be in it, which is interesting. By the way, I love the fact that they've gone with the regeneration version, the original origin story for the character, rather than the Thanagarian one, because to my knowledge, every single animated version of Hawkgirl I've ever seen has been the Thanagarian version. I think that was the version in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. That was the version of Hawkgirl and Hawkman that were in Young Justice. According to the creators of the show, it was never mentioned. I've seen them in a few animated movies as well that I can't rightly remember the names of because I've seen flat up too many DC animated movies. And they've always been using the Thanagarian versions rather than the original. And I think it's a fantastic idea to give these underrated versions of those characters with very different backstories and sometimes different villains some time to shine in the TV world and the live action world as well, because let's be honest, no matter how good animated films and TV shows are, they never seem to get as much of an audience as the live action ones. So this is going to be able to introduce these characters to a more mainstream audience, which I think is fantastic. And one other character who I was very interested to see in this was White Canary, aka Sarah Lance, aka we have no idea what the character's actual name is in comic continuity. I think she appeared like a few times in something. I'm sure she was a villain. I'm gonna look her up. I'm sure she was a villain who I remember thinking, oh, I want to see her more often. There are a lot of characters in comic books who you want to see so much more of. You think, wow, this is a fantastic character. They've got to reuse this character again. And they just don't. And I love the way that they're going to give this character an actual origin story. She's not just going to be some sort of mystery. What was she in? I'm just looking it up now on the DC Comics database. Birds of Prey, that was it, back in 2010 and 2011. But if we look at, say, Batman and Robin issue 27, I think, there was a fantastic character in that called Sister Crystal, who was able to turn people into glass by touching them. And she was crazy, and she was awesomely designed, and the powers were terrifying, and she was a complete psycho. And I just saw this fantastic character, and I really, really wanted to see this character appear regularly as a Batman villain. But that was the last issue of Batman and Robin before the New 52, and she hasn't appeared in the New 52. And it's a shame that a lot of these characters only get like 1 or 2 appearances, only a few, and then they just get forgotten about. And White Canary seemed to be one of the characters that was forgotten about, and now they're making this character, who I will say is an interesting character, they're putting this character into live action, and I think that's wonderful. And I hope they get to do this more with, say, characters like Sister Crystal and maybe the Corrosive Man. I freaking love the Corrosive Man. He was like in a couple of issues of Batman in the 1980s, and he was awesome. He needs to come back. He needs to be the main villain in a movie. Oh no, he doesn't. No, Black Mask needs to be the main villain in a Batman movie. He hasn't been, and it's a shame. But Black Mask is awesome. But Corrosive Man deserves more attention, DC. I hope you're listening, and he deserves to be the main villain in a seriously big arc in one of your comic books. Just not one where Jim Gordon is. But actually, no. He'd be fantastic in one where Jim Gordon is Batman, because he could start corroding the metal bat suit. That would be a good idea. I hope you're watching, DC. Write this down. Yeah, I like that they're using underrated characters. The effects look fantastic. It looks to have some very interesting ideas. Arthur Darvill's in it. He's a good actor. He was Rory in Doctor Who. Back when Doctor Who was terrible. And yeah, all in all, it looks to be a very, very interesting idea for a show, and I really can't wait to watch it. So please leave your opinions of the trailer in the comments below, and feel free to like and subscribe. As for me, I'm off to the library.